what I would say to people who are thinking of coming here would be to rent for a while until you get to know the areas and you get a feel of what kind of property you want. But I have to say, I think that might be detrimental in some respects, because once you've made the jump and you're here and you have a property which you own, you have to make it work. Or you try a lot harder, I think, to make it work.
But we did half and half, really, because we bought, but we holiday homed first. So we had both worlds. You
hadn't
really
jumped out of one world into another completely.
Whereas friends of ours jumped completely.
Well, we took the decision that the holiday home was technically risk money. So if it weren't pear-shaped, then it wouldn't necessarily be a big embarrassment. And consequently, that's why we took so long to get the whole thing back up to a proper standard. It's because each stage we thought, well, is it not? Is it worth it? So consequently, by the time we made the decision, the house was as we wanted it, basically, and realised that the risk was not going to be that great.
I mean, what's the one piece of advice that you give people who are thinking of moving here?
There's only one piece of advice.
Don't.
No, do it. But make sure that you have a solicitor who is, when you're buying, who knows all the property laws, and as you just said there, they all answer differently, but somebody who's been recommended and not by your estate agent, an independent one, who knows all the property laws, and make sure everything's checked out on your property before you go ahead and buy it.
And ideally it should be a Spanish solicitor.
I mean, a lot of the Spanish solicitors speak English anyway, because that would be the fear of a newcomer if they don't speak the language. But a lot of them do speak English, the solicitors. So
I think it's important that you find someone who does speak English reasonably well, because I find a lot of people won't ask questions. If they think someone's English is a little bit suspect, they'll just go, yes, okay, fine. Rather than if you were talking to a lawyer in England, you say, but hang on a minute, what's this, this and this?
Our solicitor, she did speak English, but she spoke so fast that it was impossible really to keep up with what she was saying. Very, very good, but impossible to keep up. So whenever she phoned and I saw her number was on our phone, I'd say, I'm not answering, she'll email us the information. So I didn't answer. Then you got it in black and white.
I think,
in English, so you can go over it. Because with legal things, you actually do need to read and digest it. You can't just go yes.
But the interesting thing is, I always find, is that, and I'm probably guilty as much as anyone, you buy a house here with scant regard to the documentation and perhaps other details that you would. In the UK, you wouldn't dream. You wouldn't dream of parting with a penny.
Until everything was right.
Or everything.
But also, most people don't realise, ourselves included, that when you get your escritura, that doesn't mean that you're registered and you're in the the land registry thing or whatever. There's sort of three processes, because in England you buy a house and it all happens.
Yes. Okay, last question on this one is, knowing what you now know, would it have influenced your decision to move here?
No, because I love it here. So there's no way I wouldn't be here now.
I don't think so either. I don't think there's any reason.
There's nothing that's happened or turned out over the years that you said, if I had that, I would have done something differently. No, I might not necessarily not come here, but maybe I would have bought my house differently, or maybe I would have done something differently.
I think the only thing I would have ever really checked out properly better than I did do was the assumption that I had all the utilities into the house.
You're right.
Because that was a hiccup for me. I naturally made the assumption that I had both electricity and water.
We had water.
Well, I had water, but I didn't have electricity. That took us 2.5 years to get hold of.
The electricity cable was attached to our house, and we were told that we'd be able to have it. But when it came to it, Endesa said that there wasn't enough potencia, so we couldn't. Unless we paid God knows what to have it brought from somewhere else.
Yes.
So we didn't do that. We waited till it came closer with the new houses in the village.
Yes.
And then did it that way. And then it was underground. We didn't have to have pylons put up to ruin the countryside.
So you need to check every detail.
Yes.
Even the details you take. I think probably the thing is that I've noticed that you take things for granted in England. With the legal system, the property buying system, all the rest of it, and you think it applies here. So you skip bits of it. Okay, well that kind of wraps up our set questions. But what I want to talk about now is something which I know Chas and Judy have both experienced, and that's health. You've both experienced health issues. no secret. Chas, I know that you were the first person to receive healthcare. But before we go into that, can we just talk about and explain what the difference is? I mean, if what's the deal with healthcare here? Okay.
Correct.
So when we first were over here, neither of us qualified for the UK state pension, so we weren't entitled to healthcare here. We had the European health card thing that you can use as an emergency, which we did use on a couple of occasions. But to go in an ordinary health system, we weren't eligible. So we took out private health insurance. Didn't want to be in a situation where we weren't covered, which happens to a lot of expats where they're not covered, and we thought, no, we don't want to do that. And we've kept that going because we're not missing the payments. We've actually kept it going, so we've got the dual thing. But now Chas, well, we're both pensioners now, but when Chas became a pensioner, he had to get a form from Newcastle to present here, and I was his dependent, and then we're covered on a reciprocal basis.
Okay.
But now I'm a pensioner as well, so I'm covered under my own right.
Okay.
As part of the healthcare, we have a automatic annual well man, well woman.
That's the
With the
private.
private.
That's the private.
You get this free, the
With
Well
the
Man, Well Woman clinic.
With the private.
Okay.
So I went for my annual checkup, and my consultant said that there potentially is a problem. We can do it either through chemotherapy or radiotherapy, or whichever is appropriate, or we just do the operation. And I said, well, I'm not intending to have any more children. And no problem at all. Did privately in a private hospital in Almeria, and beautifully looked after.
Yeah.
Well treated.
Very, very good.
And the
service.
aftercare was back to the private hospital, or were you put into the?
No, all through the private hospital.
All through the private hospital.
Okay.
It was the checkups and everything else, yes.
So it paid off having private healthcare. If you hadn't had private healthcare, you would have gone into the system, the Spanish system,
Yes.
because you got the reciprocal agreement, or was it?
Would I have then? I suppose, was I a retirement age? I probably, yes, I probably would have done. I was a retirement age. So if I'd gone through the social services, Spanish social services, I think it would have been equally as good, probably a little bit longer, because there's a waiting factor for operations. So I might have been on a slightly longer waiting list. It wouldn't have been that rapid in terms of resolution.
Okay.
But still, it would have been necessarily probably exactly the same sort of environment,
Yes.
but in a more general hospital.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We're going to be back again next week. Thanks for watching once again, and see you all soon.